How we doing, guys? I'm here at my golf studio over at Blythefield Country Club, and I want to start talking to you about ways we can get better in the off season so we're prepared once the weather breaks. 2 cameras as always, just like when we're outside. Today we're going to start really simple with the setup, and just like any other sport, how we set up is going to determine our success and our level of consistency when we actually play. And in golf, there's certain things that I don't think that the amateur, the novice, or the Sunday golfer sort of thinks about in relation to setup. And once again, in every sport, that's very important. So if I take my actual setup right now, there's some things that I want you to sort of notice here, okay? So if I'm in my position, where's my head in relation to the golf ball? Where are my hands in relation to the golf ball? This is a big one for golfers, okay? If you notice here, my hands are slightly in front of the golf ball, kind of on the inner thigh of my lead leg there, okay? And my head is sort of behind the golf ball, almost with my ear adjacent to the back end of that golf ball, okay? Now this is pretty typical. We see this with a lot of golfers. I'm going to show you some examples of it on this video. I don't care if it's Brooks Koepka, Tony Finau, Tiger Woods, Nelly Korda, anyone you can name that's a good ball striker or on a tour somewhere, they probably have this basic principle in any part of their golf game, okay? So let's look at other sports. I'm going to talk about the head first. Let me put my club down for a second. If I had a basketball in my hand, and I was going to shoot it towards the rim, right? When I get ready to shoot that ball, where's my head in relation to that ball? It's behind it, okay? Same thing with the pitcher on the mound or someone throwing a ball. When they go to throw and release that item, where is their head in relation to the ball when they release it? It's normally behind it. That ball and the lever system go to the target first and the head is behind. You don't see people throw like this, okay? Tossing a ball, same thing. I'm tossing a ball, I go to let go of the ball, where's my head in relation to it, all right? When we're talking about our head position in golf, I equate that to our energy source and our power, right? When I'm bench pressing, same thing. I am pushing that weight out in front of me with my lever system, and my head is behind that energy, okay? So that's something to think about. I see a quarterback and he gets hit, and this part kind of opens up and he has to throw from here. It's not as accurate or as good as if you can step into it and have that lever system lead. So that's why it's so vital for our head to be behind the golf ball. Jack Nicklaus is a great example of a golfer who played everything a little bit forward to achieve that one goal of having his head behind the ball. He would have his driver start on that inner heel, right? And then sort of as he went down in the club, that position would come back slightly, but always leaving his head sort of behind the golf ball. All right, we see that a lot with Tommy Fleetwood and sort of how he sets up, very similar, okay? I don't need you to be very specific in relation to this, but what we see with most golfers, like if your shoulders are open, where's your head? So now my energy source is in front of the golf ball. If I go to swing and hit that ball from here, what went to the target first? My upper body did. No different than if I'm here, my lower body gets ahead, with that hip and all of this stuff gets ahead of impact. We tend to struggle with those shots and you don't even have a consistent miss. It can go anywhere from there. Okay, so think about your head position in relation to the golf ball with iron or wood, either one, okay? And sometimes it also helps you have that natural tilt where this lead shoulder is a little bit higher. So that's the head position conversation. Even if I have my driver, that does not change, okay? I'm teeing the ball up here, put these back so you can see this. If I'm playing the ball off a tee and it's off of my lead foot, it's a little bit easier to get that head from behind. But now if I see people with their driver and they look like this before they start, then I know something is off, okay? So keep that in mind with your head position. Hand position, like we mentioned before. With the driver, this is sort of an interesting conversation to have. We'll get to the iron in a second. Ooh, that's a big tee. Pop it up in my house with that tee. But if I'm set up here and my head's behind the ball, my hands are still going to sit on that inner thigh. no matter where my ball position is. Now, what I do not want to see with the driver is people having their hands out here, trying to get their hands in front of the ball, okay? I do think that with the driver, the hand should still feel like they're pressed and in line with the ball, if not a little bit past it. We'll see that with like a Fitzpatrick. His hands are actually pressed a little bit more. But most golfers are going to be here. And the one thing I see with amateurs will not be present here. Okay, with amateurs, I'll see your hands be start back here. Okay, and we don't like that hand position because it encourages flipping through the shot and not having a good control over impact, where we're not allowing centrifugal force to release that club. We're forcing it sort of at impact. There are some release elements that we may want to have with drivers, so we'll get into that more. When we're looking at setup, head behind the ball, and in the case of the driver, if it's where this tee is and where my ball is, I still want my hands to be sort of in line with it there, okay, but not pressed to where they're outside of that thigh. Now, if I bring my iron back here, let me pull another ball over. I have my iron here, okay, it's a lot easier to get that hand position to be in front. But the reason for this video isn't to tell you that you have to do this way. I want you to investigate it. Check on what I'm saying. A lot of instructors don't do that, but I encourage it. I'd love for you to look at other information and to come back with questions. Or to say, okay, Andre opened my eyes to this, is it true or not? You'll probably find that it's true, but you do that work and you can kind of verify what I'm saying here, okay? So same thing with our hand position, head slightly behind the ball. Our hand position shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be middle where the zipper, the butt end of that club is going to the zipper, the center of my chest, because that still encourages more of the flip action. We want those hands to be in between our zipper line and our inner thigh, really close to that inner thigh there, okay? So that's sort of the typical setup for my iron. We'll go ahead and hit one. Not a bad swing there. First one of the day. But right at our target. So think about that as you're looking at golf for the week. Think about where the head position is. Think about where the hand position is. A lot of times on my screen, and I'm going to give you some examples of this, but if I have a screen and I put a line or a pencil or a pin in the middle of that screen of a person swinging, I'll notice that their head is behind the ball and their hands will be slightly in front of them, okay? So use that as a template, and hopefully that helps your setup for practicing this one.